What's up? It's Martin here. Let's talk about screen time. This is a problem we all face and can mean the difference between making or missing our goals, just due to the sheer amount of time that we spend on these devices. Worst of all, our tendency to gravitate towards our phones in our downtime seems so inconsequential. But over time, this can develop into an addiction without us even knowing, because after all, we're just checking our phone, right? Fortunately for me, I've only had my phone for about 3 years, so I don't think I have the same connection or attachment that some of my other friends or even my brother does. But lately I've been noticing that sometimes things can get out of hand, some days approaching the 5-hour mark or even more. Plus, my mom and my brother are practically addicted to their phones, so if I don't keep a close eye on this, then that can eventually be me. Just so I don't bore you with the intro, I've spent 286 hours on my phone from January 1st to August 4th. And I don't count the days after that because recently I've been trying to reduce my phone usage. There's 216 days in that time period, so I spend an average of about 1 hour 20 minutes on my phone every day. Okay, so you might be thinking that that isn't so bad, but think about all the other important things in our lives that can use that extra hour or so, especially if you use your phone more than this, seeing as the average phone user in America uses their phone for around 3 hours 43 minutes every day, which is about 50 days in a year. Yeah, it's that bad. With that, I hope that by breaking down my phone usage stats from my top apps, number of phone and app launches, and average time per session, that I can show you how much time that we can bring back into our lives. Then I'll go on to finish the video by sharing how I'd go about reducing my own screen time. I hope you get something out of this, and let me know how your screen time is looking a year from now when I post an update video on this. Or better yet, I won't hear your progress because you won't even be on YouTube to watch that video anymore. So with all that out of the way, make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get right into the video. So I'm going to break down my phone usage by showing you my top apps, as well as my best and worst day on the chart that you'll see in this image right here. Now this is a screenshot from the app StayFocused, and as you can see, I spent 183 hours in this image, but for some reason the app Google Chrome wouldn't show here, and I spent around 103 hours on it in that time frame that I selected, which is January 1st to August 4th. As you can see here, my average time spent per day is about an hour or so. But if you count the time that I spent on Google Chrome, the average should be a little bit above the 1 hour line instead of just a bit below. My best days are the days that I use my phone for around 20 minutes or so. But as you can see, there's this really tall bar here which approaches the 5-hour mark. But I'm pretty sure that went closer to 6 hours, seeing as my mobile browsing was not included in these stats. Anyway, my top 5 apps that I spent the most time on will be on this screen here. So number 1 should be Google Chrome, but it's not there. That should be around 103 hours. Number 2 is YouTube with around 65 hours. Then it's Messenger with around 12 hours. Anki with around 11 hours. Then 9 hours 43 minutes with the calculator app. 8 hours 42 minutes with YouTube Studio. And so on and so forth. You can pause to see the image here. Honestly, I hate how much time I spend on LinkedIn, but that's besides the point. As for my top 5 app launches, we have YouTube Studio with 2,714, Messenger with 2,344, Calculator with 2,178, YouTube with 1,887, and surprisingly, the Gallery with 1,089 launches. Probably because I need to move my files to my computer from my phone to edit these videos, so I guess that's kind of necessary to do. As for the worst thing about this section is that I use the YouTube Studio more than I should actually use it. Because most of the time I'm just checking it to see if I have any comments to respond to, but checking it too much is not really necessary, and I should just respond to comments once or twice a day, and that should be good enough. But for some reason in the beginning, when I started, I checked it way too often that I had to set a limit on it. Honestly, that wastes a lot of my time, and that's why I placed a limit on how much time I can spend on the app in the coming few months of school. Now let's get to the phone launches, and I unlocked my phone 12,557 times in this 216-day period, which means about 58 unlocks per day, which is pretty bad, but what's worse is that the average American unlocks their phone 150 times per day. Like, what? No wonder we can't get productive work done all the time. The worst part about these usage statistics is that when you think about it closely, I think most of us spend more time with our phones than we have quality time with our families, which is quite alarming when you think about it. So that might be something to think about moving forward. Now let's look at how much time actually goes into each of the phone sessions that I have. Now as you can see in this chart here, most of my time is spent on very short sessions, being that 79% of my sessions are 2 minutes or less. while 94% of my sessions are 5 minutes or less. And the worst part is, most of the time we're just checking our phone, whether that be a notification, or we just have itchy fingers or something and unlock the phone to check something that we honestly don't even need to know about. This can be quite bad for our work because even though we check our phone for only 2 minutes, this can disrupt us from getting into the flow state of our work. So picture this. You're working in a library with a friend and you've been working quite smoothly for the last 30 minutes. You feel like your senses are heightened and you're finally about to get some of that work done for the paper that you're about to finish. But then suddenly your friend looks at you and asks you a question, and that question turns into a 3-minute conversation. Quite harmless, right? But when you try to get back into your work, you find that you can't really start or really get back into the flow of things. And that's basically what notifications on your phone or just the impulse of checking your phone can do to your workflow. Getting into this flow state is where most of our productive work is done, and if that is interrupted by something that we can stop, being that most of the time checking your phone is mostly self-inflicted, you could just turn off notifications by turning on the do not disturb function on our phones. I feel like this is easily avoided, but in the end, we basically stop ourselves from reaching our goal by interrupting the quality of our work just by the irrational use of our smartphones. Now that I showed you how our smartphone usage can really impact our progression towards reaching our goals, I'm going to share with you how I'm going to approach reducing my screen time in the coming school year. First of all, let's limit our phone and app launches. Using the StayFocused app, I set the amount of app launches that includes screen unlocks to 6 per hour, which means that the next time I pick up my phone and try to just check something, I'll think twice before doing that because I can only unlock my phone or launch an app 6 times in total within a given hour, and then my phone will be locked. With this, I also set a strict mode where this limitation can only be removed by August of next year. And another thing is that I can't uninstall this app because I gave it admin controls, and with that, I can't even uninstall the app. The second thing that I'm going to do in regards to lowering my screen time is putting my phone in another room when I'm trying to study or do something productive. That way, when I don't even see my phone, it's not really an option to even check it. Willpower is often overrated, and I believe that by removing the distraction entirely, that it'd be a lot harder to actually fall into the temptation to actually do the deed, which is checking the phone. Another thing that I'm going to do to reduce my screen time is to make it a habit to finish all my lectures before checking my phone for the first time of the day. That's because 48% of teens check their phones within 5 minutes of waking up, and I think that that's a big distraction that can make your mind distracted before you even get to starting your work. And I believe that if I don't bombard my mind right when I wake up with 50 notifications or something like that, then I'd be more focused in finishing my work first, then I can catch up on whatever I missed later. And another thing about missing something is that we should all try to internalize the idea that we're not really missing anything by not checking our phones for like half a day or something. And in reality, we don't owe anything to these sites. Not our time, nothing. As much as they feel like they're an extension of ourselves because it's social media, the real you is you that exists in this world, not within our phones or on a website. So I feel like we're missing more of the real world by indulging in the digital world and media. So internalize that we are not really missing anything and that we don't owe our time to anything like our phone or social media websites. And the last thing that I'm doing to try to reduce my screen time, which is completely optional, but it's habit tracking. And for me, I'm going to treat this like a little bit of a game. So basically, I'm trying to build a new PC and it would cost around $1,200 to build it. But whether or not I actually build this will really depend on my habits in the coming year. The way I'm going to track my habits is raising money to actually buy the PC parts. So essentially how this is going to work is that if I perform a good habit like working out or having a Pomodoro study session, then I add $1 to the pool. If I do any bad habit like impulsive browsing or impulsive phone checking, then $2 will be subtracted out of the pool. If my balance is above $1,200 by the end of first semester or the end of second semester, then I'll buy all the PC parts and build the PC. So that's a small game that I'm going to play, and hopefully I'll follow through by maintaining good habits. And hopefully this PC will make the editing process a little easier since I don't want my laptop to be on such high temperatures for extended periods of time. So basically with this kind of game, I'm making my good habits actually rewarding and my bad habits less attractive because every time I check my phone when I'm not supposed to, I'm really paying $2 to do that. And so far as an update, just last week here are my phone stats, and as you can see, my average went below an hour, and that one day where I spent more time than the other few days was the day I was vlogging with this phone, which I'm filming with currently. So my average should be around half an hour a day. I don't know how that math checks out, but I'm just estimating. But so far, so good, and I hope that this video helps you lower your phone usage and be more intentional with the time that you spend doing your work or spending it with family. Because even though our phones open lots of possibilities to connect with others, it also closes off a lot of doors if you abuse it. Of course, time will only tell if I can keep this up, because that is pretty much a 50% decrease in phone usage if I don't count the vlogging. But yeah, it's a good start regardless. Anyway, I hope this video helped inspire you to reduce your screen time in the coming school year, and let me know how you guys are doing in a year or so when I post another video about how much time I spend on my phone. So that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe with post notifications on so you can see more videos like this. And I hope that my second year in university will be better than the last year. And I hope to vlog a little bit more so you guys can share the experience and know what it's like to move on to your second year and reflect upon what improvements you can make from your first year or something like that. Yeah, that's about it. See ya. Do-do-do-do. Boom. 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 I should have included more stats, but I'll put it in the description. Goodbye.